So we just finished our trips page, and you can already see that we're picking up speed as we're learning our new skill. Let's go hop right into the Manage Property page and get working on that. So you can see we have the blank screen, of course, but we can drag that reusable element, our nav bar, over right away. So we already have something to work with. So we just snap that up to the top, drag it across, and it fits perfectly. Now this page is gonna be pretty much formatted the same way as we did our trips page, but we're gonna have a extra view where you can manage your own properties, and then it will just be upcoming trips so you can manage those, and then your previous trips. So let's do that. Let's drag a text box over. And what do we wanna call this? Well, let's call it Your Properties. Like so, and then let's change the font right away. We'll go to 24, we'll bold that, and then let's fix the layout. Now we need to fix our parent container first, so let's go do that, because we need that column format. So go to layout, right now it's fixed, so we'll select column. See it automatically snapped to the top left. So let's select that element, and let's change its layout. We'll of course uncheck the fixed width. We'll give it a 0 min width, and we can give it a 0 height since we have our text already in there. And then we'll come back to appearance, and we want to align this text to the left. And then let's give it a 20 margin all around. So we'll come back, we'll give it a top margin of 20, bottom 20, left 20, and right 20. Great, just like that, that looks a lot better. So let's add the display where a user will be able to see their own property. Of course, to do this, let's get our old trusty repeating group, and we'll drag that on the screen. And of course, it doesn't look how we want at all. Let's come to appearance. For this, let's do the rows and make it a 1. And then for the columns, we don't know how many columns we're gonna need. For now, let's increase that min width of the column to like 300 pixels, maybe 200, just so we have a little room to work with. And let's give it a bit more of a height for now. And we'll come and change that later once we add our elements. I'd even want it bigger than that. So we'll do 300 by 300. Great. Now we can see our properties. And let's start adding stuff to this. And what are we looking for? Well, we're going to search for properties. We want to search for properties of that current user if they listed any. So let's go to type of content, and we're going to go to property. Then we're going to come to search. So we'll do a search for. What are we looking for? Well, we're looking for property. And then remember, we can add constraints and specify exactly what we're looking for within the properties. So we want to add a constraint, and we want to look at our options. What do we have available? Well, if you come, you can see that we have a created by. So we want to select that, created by the user. So we'll have created by, and we'll equal to, and then we'll select the current user. Great, so now we can select the property that were created by the current user, and that should be their property that they listed themselves if they're a host. So let's close that. We have the information we need. Get rid of that. And now we can start inputting our info just like we've done before. Let's start with a picture. Everyone loves pictures. So select your image. We'll drag that across. And let's actually format our parent. So remember, right now it's fixed. We'll come to column, select that, and we'll leave this for now. We'll come back and change that in a bit. We'll come and change our image A. We'll rename it to image, your properties. And remember, let's change our parent as well. You can see it does say repeating group property, but I probably won't know what that is. So we'll say your property. Then I have a better understanding of what element I'm actually working with. So let's edit this again. Come to layout, and we'll horizontally align. We'll get rid of that fixed width. We'll give it a 0 min width. Let's leave the height for now. We don't want it collapsing on us. And let's input our image. So again, for this, we'll use dynamic image. We'll insert dynamic data. We'll get the current cell's property. And then our options are images. Remember, that's going to be a list of images. So we'll select their images. And then we'll select the first item in that list. So you upload a property, you upload the images for it, and we want to select that first image that you uploaded to display back. Great, now that we have that, let's come back to our layout. Now we want to give this a fixed ratio, so let's do that. Let's keep the aspect ratio. Let's do a 1:2 and see what that looks like. Wrong one, of course. 2:1. Great, that looks a lot better. We might even make that a one-to-one later. Let's just see how the other elements fit within the repeating group. Next thing we'll do is probably grab the title of the property. So whatever you titled the property when you uploaded the listing. For that, we'll of course need our text box. Come drag that in. And for the dynamic data, let's see what we have available. So we have current sales property, and then we should be able to access the title right there. So perfect. You'll have an image, and then you'll have your property title. So we'll come to our layout. First, we can uncheck our fixed width, of course, give that a 0. Give the min height a 0 as well. We'll give it a left and right margin of 20 pixels. Let's also do that for our image. So come back to your image. Just give it that 20 pixel left and right. And then for our property title, we can make this a bit bigger. So come to appearance. Let's go to our font. We'll give it an 18. And let's align the text to the left. Great, that looks way better. Now, the next thing we want to do is let the user update their listing. So really, this is all the information we need to display. Let's go ahead and give them a button, and that way they can edit stuff about their listing. So let's come and find our button, drag that on the screen. You can see it already styled to our predefined primary button attribute. Remember, all buttons are going to look like that if we assign that style. If we switch it, it's going to change, of course. So let's keep it our primary button. Let's come to our layout. We'll get rid of that fixed width. We'll make it 0. We'll make the min height 0. And we'll give it the 20 pixel left and right margin. So 20 and 20. Let's also give this a 20 top margin. So highlight that. There we go. And let's change the text here. So we'll say edit listing. Or you could say edit property. Whatever you'd like to do, go ahead and do that. We're going to stay with edit listing. And now looking at it, I think we can do a one-to-one property image. Let's come back to our layout over here. Give it a 1-to-1, just like that. And let's give that button a 20 margin bottom, like so. Great, that looks a little bit better. Let's give this a 10 pixel bottom, just to give that title a little bit of space. And that looks awesome. So what else do we need to do? Well, we need to come back to our parent repeating group and change the layout. So we come to layout, we'll get rid of the fixed width, we'll make that 0. Now again, this is just tightening up the space, making sure all the elements fit properly. We're not using unnecessary space. So for the min height, we'll make that 0. We'll leave the fit height to content. Now if you check fit width to content, you'll notice it disappears on the repeating groups. That's fine. When you go to your preview, it will automatically make the other repeating groups, and it will list all of your properties that you can manage as well. But we can leave that unchecked for now. So go ahead and do that just so you can see what's going on. So we have our properties displaying, but we want to add one more thing, and that's going to be add a new listing. So we want to be able to add a new property. And how do we do that? Well, we need a button. Let's drag our button on the screen. And let's put our button up here below our properties. And let's start styling this button. So right now, it's quite large. Let's go ahead and fix the layout straight away. Go to make this a fixed width. It's going to take up the whole screen, which we don't want. So for max width, we're actually going to give it a 200 pixel, and we'll see what that looks like. That's even a little big, but maybe if we change the height, it will look a little better. So we'll give the min height of 0, and that looks a lot better, so we can leave that, but let's give it our margins. So we'll give it 20 pixel all around, just to give it some space. That might be even a bit too low. We have a 40 pixel space here if you count the properties margin. Let's get rid of the top margin. We'll make that 0. Now let's change the text on this to say something like add new property or add new listing. We'll go add new property. Great. And when a user clicks that, we're going to perform something, but we're not going to cover this just yet. We're going to cover that in a different lesson. Let's continue on with our UI on our manage page. We're going to have another repeating group. Let's make our page a little bit bigger. So come to layout. Give the min height. We'll just give it a 1200 so I can scroll down a bit. Should have more space now. Yep, and we can scroll down and work with this space now. Now we're going to be displaying the upcoming bookings. So if you're a host on Airbnb and you list your property, you want somewhere to see, okay, who has booked at my properties and when are they staying, etc., and what property they're staying at. So let's get started. The first thing we'll do is grab this text up here. Remember, no code, copy, paste as much as you can. We'll change that to say upcoming stays or upcoming bookings, whatever you want to call it. Say upcoming stays. Now let's copy and paste that repeating group, and we'll paste it down here. But we're going to be changing most things, so you can pretty much get rid of all of the things in there, just like so. Now let's come and edit it, and we'll give it that height back so we can actually see what we're doing. Great. So now we have our space to work with. Of course, the first thing we're going to do is select the data that we're going to be accessing. Let's come up. Right now, we copy and pasted. We don't actually want our property. We want our bookings. So select bookings. We can get rid of that. We're actually going to do the same thing. We're going to do a search for, but this time we're looking for our bookings. So let's do a booking search. We'll add a constraint. And what are we looking for? Well, remember we previously did this. For upcoming, we want to look for properties that have a booking date that are in the future. So how do we do that? So click here, select booking dates, click again, and then we can select that is greater point, and then we can select our current date and time, just like so. So now we're getting all of those bookings in the future. One thing we need to look for, though, is the properties that are created for this specific host. So let's select our property, and then we can select is in. So property is in, and then what are we gonna do? Well, we need to do a search for something. So we'll have our search pop up, and what are we searching for? Well, we're gonna be searching for a property. For the constraint, we'll be looking for whoever created it and if they are the current user. So we need to make sure that it is for the current host, and we're only getting those properties. So let's select our created by, come down, select created by, we'll do equals, and we'll select our current user, and that's exactly how we're gonna be accessing what data gets displayed to this current host based on if people have booked for that specific host. So let's close that. And let's start adding our information that we're going to display back. So let's actually copy and paste this text we have here. Just paste it there. You can see we just need to change the dynamic data. So instead of current sales bookings, we'll go ahead and select current sales bookings, and then we can select our property, and then we have access to that title. Great. So we have that. So let's fix the styling a little bit. It's a little big. Let's go to 16 if we can. Yeah, we'll type in 16. We'll bold it. Great, that looks a lot better. Let's give it our margin now. We'll give it a top margin. And let's give it a bottom margin as well. So we'll do 20 pixels there. Great. So what else should we probably think about displaying? Well, you want to think about displaying who actually booked the property. So we need to probably display maybe their profile picture and their name or some kind of information about the user. So let's drag a group here because we're gonna separate this into a row. Drag the group on, we'll fix the layout and we'll make it a row. That means whatever we put inside is gonna be formatted as a row, but this group itself will keep that column format in its parent. Let's give this a center alignment, just like so. For the container alignment, let's actually leave that to the left. You'll see why in a second. Let's come down and let's uncheck our fixed width, give that a 0. Let's give our left and right margin a 20 pixels. And then we'll also probably want to give the bottom a 20 as well. Great. So what are we displaying in here? Well, let's grab an image. We want to see if we can display their profile image. So let's do that. Let's grab an image, display it like so. We'll come to fix the layout. We'll give it that vertical alignment we need. We can actually leave it all the way to the left. That's why I did that horizontal align to the left for this, and we'll leave it like that. Let's actually leave this a fixed width. When you have smaller components, and it doesn't matter if they change size with the screen, you can get away with using a fixed width and height. So let's do that. Let's make a 50 pixel, and we'll do a keep the aspect ratio so it's nice square. And then we're gonna display, let's actually do 75. That's a little big, let's do 60. Okay, we'll leave it right there. So now what are we gonna do? Well, we need to get that image of whoever created the booking. So we'll give this a title as well, image, and we'll say booking creator profile. Now we need to display something in this image, but we're not gonna have access to the information we need. Why is that? Well, we need to actually get the image and define what data is gonna be displayed in this group A. So we defined our data in the parent. That's great, but now we need to get more specific and actually have access to the bookings creators information. So we need to come to type of content, and for the data type, we need to select booking. And then we're looking for the current sales booking. This now gives us that access we need in order to display the creator of the bookings image, as well as whatever information we're going to display here. So let's get that image data. We'll right click, we'll edit, we'll insert dynamic data. And we're looking for the parent group's booking. And then we need to select creator. So we'll come and select creator. And then we will select their profile image. So profile photo. Great. So now we're going to be displaying that image. What do we want to display over here? Well, let's just display their name. That's easy enough. Let's grab a text box, paste it in there. We'll fix the layout a little bit. So uncheck fixed width. And then let's give it a 0 min width. We'll keep the height for now. Actually, no, we'll give that a 0. And then we'll give it the vertical alignment we need. We'll come to appearance. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Let's give it an 18. And let's just type out their name. So we'll come to dynamic data. We'll go to parent groups bookings. We'll go to the creator. And now we're simply displaying their name like so. And that's even a little big. Let's change that back to 14. Perfect. So now we're displaying whoever made that booking on this host property. We're going to be displaying their image as well as their name. Now, what else should we probably display? Well, we probably want to know the dates, and we probably want to have a way to contact this person if we need to. So let's do that. Let's add a text box. We're actually going to be displaying the dates they're staying. So in here, we can come to layout. Let's fix all of this right away. Change that, make this 0. We'll make the height 0 as well. We'll give it a top margin. Let's see if we have a 20 pixel already. We do, so let's just give it a 20 left and right, as well as a bottom, just like so. And let's align it to the left. So we'll just select left alignment. And let's add the text we want to display. So for this, we'll select the current sales booking. We'll come to booking dates. We'll say start. We'll format, and let's change the formatting a bit. So we'll close that. Let's continue on, and then we can give it that little dash. So come outside, give it a dash, and then we can continue adding our information. So current sales booking, looking for those dates again, this time the end date, and then we'll do the formatted, and we'll do the same format to keep it consistent. Go ahead and close that. And now we're displaying those dates that person booked through. You can see, look at this weird behavior down here. What's going on? So you notice that it dragged all the way across and made our repeating group take up actually the entire page. We don't want that. And the reason being is this element caused this to happen. Now, when we display this and preview it in a live version, it probably won't look like this, but I still want to fix this. So we'll come to edit, and then we'll go to our layout, and let's give it a max width. So we don't want this to be any larger than, say, 500 pixels. And even that's too big. Let's do 300. And that way, it doesn't get any bigger than that. It stays within our repeating group. There's a few other ways that we could do this, but let's just keep it like that for now. For example, you could come and make your repeating group a max width as well. We want those to be as large as they can and just keep this formatted as it is. So let's close that. Now let's do our past bookings. Again, the great thing about this is we're going to be able to do this in a matter of minutes. So let's copy and paste our upcoming stays text, paste it down here. We'll copy and paste all of our repeating group that we just made, just like that. And all we have to do is change 2 things. Let's come and change our upcoming stays to previous stays. And then we want to change what bookings we're looking for. So in this repeating group, we're looking for future. And this one, we're looking for the past. Let's come to our parent. We'll edit. We'll look at what we're looking for. So search for bookings. And it's the is greater than. And we want is smaller than point. And that's literally all we have to change. And now we have all of our previous stays displaying the exact same information, but for a different time period. Now there's one more thing I want to add, and that's going to be a way to contact these guests. So let's add a button, drag it on the screen. Let's go to our layout, and we'll center it, uncheck the fixed width. We'll give it a 0 min width and a max width of 200. And then we can edit the appearance. Let's actually change the height to 0 first. Just like so. And then let's edit appearance. And what do we want to say? Well, we'll just say contact guest. And then we need a way to email them. So how are we going to do this? Well, let's add a workflow. So let's add a step. And what we want to do is actually open an external website. So come to like open external website. Well, let's type mail to, and then our colons. Then we can simply get that current sales booker's email. So whoever made the booking on that property, we need to get their email. How do we do that? So let's get our dynamic data. And you can see that we still have access to all that data. So we can get the current sales booking, and then we can get the creator of the booking. Then we can select their email. So just like that, we have a way to contact all of our guests and the associated property they have booked with that specific host. When you type mail to, all that happens is it pulls up your Gmail, your Outlook, or whatever you have on your computer and automatically has their email input. You've probably seen something like this before. That's how you do it in Bubble. So let's come back to our design and let's actually copy and paste this contact guest because we need it in our previous bookings as well, and paste that there. And we have the exact same thing. You come, you edit workflow, we'll come to navigation, open the external website. And in fact, I'll even show you a quicker way. Let's select right click, we'll copy, come over to this button and we'll paste. Just like that. I mean, you can copy and paste element after group, after icon, after button. That is the beauty of no code. That's why we're able to do this so fast and you're able to develop so much faster and learn way quicker than you would be able to with normal coding. So that wraps up our manage page. The next thing we want to probably do is add a pop-up for our add new property. So when they click add new property, we get some sort of form displayed to us where a host can enter properties and list them on Airbnb. So let's go ahead and do that in the next lesson. I will see you over there.